Get to the chopper.
Everyone, welcome back to the NFA Review channel. Today we're going to take an in-depth look at the KGM Technologies R556, which is their to hell and back machine gun rated 556 suppressor. Before we get started, I just want to let you guys know I recently released a list of pretty much all the reviews we're going to be doing for the 2022 year. Finally compiled everything, chased all my leads at SHOT Show, and we have a lot of products coming in. I already have some here in the studio, so we're going to start to just get through it as fast as we can. We have a lot of videos, like over 30 reviews, and we less than 12 months left in the year, so I am going to be busy. With those reviews, we are going to try to secure more discounts for my gold members on Patreon. So if you want to see the current discount list, which I believe is 20 discounts, and if you want to see the list of everything that's coming out this year, go ahead and head to patreon.com/NFAReview, and you'll be able to see that once you are a member. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take an in-depth look at the R556 here in the studio, and then we're going to bring it out to the range and see just how she does. Let's get to it. All right, first things first, you'll see you have a nice Nanook 904 case. You know, KGM has been sending these out with all their new products lately. We already reviewed their R30 and R30K. So if you haven't seen those two videos, I'll go ahead and put them up here and in the description below so you guys can check that out. But you got a nice little purge valve here if you want to fly with this little guy. And then underneath you have their really trick KGM cutout here with the blue background. This one's kind of falling out a little bit. I'll put some hot glue in there so it doesn't fall down. And then in the case, you have a QR code here at the bottom that you can take a snapshot of, and it'll bring you to the spec sheet. And then, of course, you have the R556, and then you have a, I wouldn't say it's a takedown tool. It's basically a spanner wrench to help you get this off should it become stuck on your firearm, which I really don't see happening because of the taper mount, which we'll get to, but it is nice that they do include that. It comes in an overall length of 6.4 inches and a diameter of 1.5 inches. Now, I have two different weights for you guys. I have a weight with and without the mount, because if you think about it, we're going to be adding the mount, which I'll show you in a minute, to the end of your host gun anyway, so you need to count for that weight at the end. But just the suppressor by itself, it comes in at 16.5 ounces, and then with the mount and suppressor, it comes in at 19.2 ounces. Now, as far as materials, the entire suppressor is constructed of 3/16 stainless steel, heat treated, and then coated with black nitride. Okay, so there's been some information out there recently from more than one suppressor manufacturer that through long-term studies, they found out that stainless steels, when treated certain ways and certain grades of steel, have a longer service life and perform better than their stellite counterparts. Okay, so, and KGM's not the only one that's figured this out lately. There's been others that have been boasting about it, been writing about it. So kind of keep an eye out for those publications and do some of your own research. Now, pretty much buying any modern commercially built suppressor these days is going to outlive us and our children. I mean, I have a AAC M4 2000 in there with like 60,000 rounds through it. It's completely like half destroyed inside, in cap strikes, and it still sounds decent. Okay, so any of these, you know, current day modern cans are gonna definitely outlive us, and the materials chosen, I'm sure, are chosen for a good reason. But that being said, apparently stainless steels are a little better than we thought they were. As far as the caliber, 556 by 45, so this is 556 223 only, and it is full auto rated. Now, as far as the net sound reduction, so if you meter a suppressor on a Monday and then do it again on a Tuesday in the same exact location, you're still going to get different metering numbers. It all comes down to elevation, temperature, the humidity, freaking ammo type, barrel type, you know, everything comes into play. The lot of the ammo. You know, if you use a different lot, it can sound different. So through their testing, it has a NSR, a net sound reduction of 22 to 26 decibels depending on the length of the barrel, the ammo, and all those other parameters that I just discussed. So 22 to 26 NSR on this guy. As far as a retail price, comes in at $850. So I've seen a trend here of these rifle cans that are getting more easily attainable. Not too long ago, they were all over that $1,000 mark. So the fact this retails at $850 means you can probably get it from your dealer for like $7.99, I would have to guess. I haven't looked up the dealer cost, but that's really cool for a full auto can that's, you know, very stout and machined well, which you'll see here with the close-ups. Very, very high quality stuff here. Now let's just start from the back. You'll see that they moved the engraving to the rear of the suppressor, and where the mount will end, where the bullet leaves, will be somewhere right around here, where this machining is on the tube. So all of this is safe. Okay, so if you have a catastrophic failure here, forward of any of this here, this can just blow to hell, and you can send in what's left of it to KGM, and they'll weld on a new section. You can actually see a weld line here where the mount attaches to the suppressor tube body. That's pretty cool. They're not the only company doing that right now. That's been done for a couple years now, but I'm glad to see that they followed suit to protect your stamp investment. While we're on the back, let's discuss the mount. So if you look in here, I'll show you a tight shot. You'll see the large Acme threads, and then towards the end of the threads, you'll see that taper. Okay, that corresponds with the taper on the muzzle device that I mounted earlier off camera. Okay, so if you take a look at it, and I'll show you a tight shot here, you have kind of like an A2 birdcage looking mount here, but you do have a vent on the bottom. So if you do shoot prone with this without the suppressor, you're gonna get sugar cookied. So this is kind of more like a compensator, I guess. It looks like a flash hider, so might do both. So you'll see here, you'll have the taper and then the threads, and then you have behind that the ratchet teeth. Now, from my experience when working with these large threads combo with a taper, it'll put enough torque against the two surfaces to keep it from backing off under fire. That being said, because this is full auto rated and it's going to be hard use can, KGM decided to also throw a ratchet mount behind the taper lock. So, and I didn't count the teeth and I didn't ask, but it's definitely more than 51T if you're familiar with the AAC cans. It looks more like a 90, so a little finer tooth, which gives you actually more adjustment. Probably why they did that with the taper area. So you'll hear it here on my microphone. Very satisfying. Tactile, you can feel it vibrating in your fingers, and then you just give it that nice snug push on the end. Now you have mated those two taper surfaces, and you have the ratchet back up behind it. So that's pretty trick. This thing's not coming off. So we can pretty much abuse the hell out of this thing at the range, not have to reach up there with like a freaking fire glove to ensure that it's not backing off. To remove it, the mount is spring-loaded. You just press down on the latch and just keep pressing down on it for about 3 or 4 rotations till you clear the ratchet teeth interface, and then you can just unscrew it. Now, while we're on the mount, from my experience, this latch, even though it is heat-treated stainless, will wear out from constantly rubbing the backside of the tooth against the interface on the mount. What you can do, well, you have 2 options. You can A, full send and just beat the hell out of it, and KGM will warranty it and replace a new latch when it does wear out. Okay, that's one option. Or you can start it, you'll start to hear it, and then just depress the latch as you rotate the suppressor on, and then when you get towards the end, let go, and then set it. So you have a couple clicks instead of wearing it 30 times each time you mount the suppressor. So that will, you know, reduce some wear on those little tiny teeth on the mount on the suppressor. Now that we're done with the mount, I want to discuss these cutouts here. So these correspond with the spanner wrench that's in the box that I pointed out earlier. So should this get somehow locked on your host gun, you can put that spanner wrench on here like this, and you can remove it while depressing the latch system here to remove it from that secondary lock. I really don't see it getting caught on there. The taper will do a good job of keeping that carbon away from the threads. It shouldn't get past it at all, but it's nice to see that just to be safe, they included that tool so you can get this thing off your host gun should it become locked on there with a bunch of carbon. All right, let's skip all the way to the front of the can and discuss their APEC, or adjustable port end cap system. So if you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, go watch my other reviews, link in the description below. But in short, what it is an adjustable port system to direct the muzzle of your firearm where you want it. So let's say you're shooting full auto 300 blackout with their 30 caliber version, and you're kind of all over the place. You can remove some of these ports. Okay, it comes with threads and set screws. You can remove some, and you can direct the suppressor down by, a downward movement of jetting, kind of like a compensator, by removing, like, let's just say 3 of the top ports. Okay, it'll counteract those forces. They found out through research and testing that it's better to just not give that option to the end user on the 556 version, because it's hard use, full auto, high pressure, there's a lot of gas, overruns the gas systems all the time, port pop out of the port here, just the pressure is just too high and builds up too quick. So what they did was they drilled them out as usual, but they did not thread them. Okay, so you cannot close them off. So anytime you shoot, you're gonna have gas escaping here behind the projectile and the bore aperture, and then 360 degrees around the end of the suppressor. Now there's gonna be some trade-offs there, and it's gonna do 2 things. One, you are going to have a little bit higher metering numbers because you're letting out more gas towards the end of the suppressor, which does negatively affect suppression, but you're gonna gain a lot more. Okay, you're gonna have less back pressure on the firearm, overrunning the bolt. You're gonna have less gas in your face, and you're gonna have less port pop, and you're gonna have 40% recoil reduction versus 30%, which is the average when shooting suppressed. So less recoil, less gas to the face, and less gas pressure hitting your right ear. So they just said, screw it, let's just not give them the option, let's just do full send on these ports. So I'm kind of curious to see what that looks like when we're shooting. As far as flash mitigation, they did tell me they have a proprietary coating on the inside here on the baffle stack that will aid in flash suppression. So we shouldn't see any flame jetting coming out the front of this. Now, since this is stainless and not titanium, that's already going to help their case. But it will be interesting to watch these ports. We'll probably see some orange glow in here as the first couple rounds burn off a lot of O2 in the suppressor. So keep an eye out for that. And of course, the crown jewel. Well, if I don't beat the gun up, the crown jewel with all KGM suppressors is accuracy. It's what they're known for. So they developed the tube and the baffle stack to have 100% concentricity the whole way through the manufacturing process, including the end when they're welding everything together. So what you have here is a 100% concentric design that will allow the gases behind the bullet to be perfectly stabilized on its way out. Okay, anytime you have an out of spec area of the tube, let's say it has a little bit more volume in one area than the other because there's some run out, you can draw the tail of the bullet to move as the gas is destabilized behind it, and it will drift. Okay, that's called point of impact shift, among other things. Typically hanging a 16-ounce weight on the end of a barrel will change the harmonic whip of the barrel as well. Through all their testing on their precision bolt gun cans and the 30 caliber cans that I already reviewed, again, go ahead and watch those. They found out that they have pretty much no point of impact shift out to like 2,300 yards. Now, I doubt they took this to 2,300 yards because it's not capable. But they did say that during testing, they found little to no point of impact shift on 556 hosts. And that has me super excited. So, without boring you any further, I'm going to grab this 11.5-inch gun, okay, with the rifle speed adjustable gas block there, and my Knight's armament. They have another mount on the way. We'll go ahead and get that mounted up. So, you'll have a 11.5-inch. I know I'm wearing the lash, but it just sounds so good. You'll have an 11.5-inch barrel and a 16-inch barrel to compare, kind of everything. How much gas we're getting, what it sounds like, profile view and downrange. And then you guys can draw your own conclusions at the end of the video. Before we hit the range though, huge shout out to US Optics. They are now the sponsor of NFA Review Channel for optics. And they hooked us up with like 12 of these red dots. So I've been sighting in a lot of my guns recently. This one is not sighted in, so I'll do that off camera before we start, and hopefully I don't waste hundreds of dollars in the process. Let's get to it.
All right, everybody, before we get to the ending thoughts, I want to give a huge shout out to my Black Card members on Patreon, Scott Clemons from White House, Tennessee, and Glenn Price from Dade City, Florida. You guys go above and beyond every month to really help support the channel, and I want to give you guys a personal shout out here today. Other shout outs. Axel, still a sponsor. You can check out their stuff in the description below, get a discount on their Ear Pro. They give me a little kickback that I apply to the channel. And we cannot forget 2A Warehouse. They go above and beyond as well. Jeremy's awesome. We shot 300 rounds of 556 today, so that helped tremendously. And our newest sponsor, US Optics, they sent 12 of these little guys with various mounting systems, and it only took about 10 rounds to sight it in today, and we were good to go. No haloing around the dot, clean, crisp. It's kind of hard to screw up a red dot, but just wanted to give them a shout out. Thank you to them for throwing some optics on these guns. All right, now as far as the shooting, you notice when I first shot today, a lot of smoke with this guy. So what happened was, when I was sighting in this only took 10 rounds to sight in, but it was malfunctioning. I looked at the gun, dry as a bone. I never clean my guns because I don't have enough time. So my usual MO is to just throw oil in there. I usually use rim oil because it's thin. You can't really overdo it. I accidentally left it at home. I had an old bottle of fire clean in there, all dilapidated and stuff from living in my range bag for like 3 years. And the nipple was a little gunked up. So I started squeezing, and like a quarter bottle of oil just shot in the ejection port on the 11.5 inch. I mean, there was oil just falling out of the ejection port. It was all over my hands. I was like, shit. So I like mopped up as much as I could with a silencer shop oven mitt for removing the cans. Oh my God, it was a mess. So when I first started shooting, I was just covered in like a smoke bomb. That is different than gas. So I wanted to mention that because I did not experience any gas in my nose or under my eye here, under my eye pro. Just got smoked out for a bit as that oil started to burn off and continued to burn off. It is still in here. I'll show you some B-roll here. This is after shooting today. There's still oil just all over this thing, all over the mags. I had to get like baby wipes to clean my hands. It was bad. So when I oiled up the Knight's Armament, I was very careful and put like 2 drops in there. We didn't have the same issue. Okay, that being said, back pressure, pretty much none. Now I was using a rifle speed adjustable gas block system, but I purposely left it on one setting. So it's on setting 10. I used that for the unsuppressed scenes and suppressed scenes. I did not move it because I wanted to see what would happen. I wanted to see if it did exhibit back pressure to my ear. If you notice, it did change the rate of fire. I was shooting unsuppressed, threw the can on, shot full auto again, the rate of fire sped up a little bit. It did not overrun the bolt carrier group though, so that's good to know. So those of you out there that are running like a fixed gas system, you should be safe using this because the apex stays open. So gas good. Sound profile on both. So sound profile on the 11.5 inch sounded really good, better than my 10.5 inch that I use as a truck gun. I have a 10.5 inch Pendon welded Palmetto State Defense, a new core, their current can on there. Suppression's good, back pressure's a little high. I get discomfort in my right ear when shooting it without Ear Pro. This is an inch longer barrel, but huge difference with the gas pressure. I could shoot this comfortably without Ear Pro and not have wincing. That being said, anytime you're shooting a barrel under 16 inches, you really should be running Ear Pro either way because it's just right there on the threshold of hearing safe. Damage is accumulative. You don't want to lose your hearing over time. As far as the 16 inch, sounded wonderful on the 16. I would have no problem shooting that prone all day, having fun, plinking with friends without Ear Pro on. Super enjoyable to shoot on the Knight's Armament. As far as point of impact shift, I did film that off camera because this video is already too long. Sorry about that. And I had to re-sight in my ACOG because I moved it around in my belt fed upper the other day. So it was shooting a little left. So I'll show you now what happened. I shot my first group with the suppressor. Okay, so that's what you're looking at now. And then I removed the suppressor and shot another 5-round group, and it shifted up. The group did widen. So the suppressor tightened the group, and obviously it shifted it to the 6 o'clock position a couple, like an inch and a half. Later on, I did adjust the sight. I brought it to the right, and it shot fine. So point of impact shift, about an inch to 6 o'clock. Group improved. So tighten the group, little point of impact shift. Now that is on this platform. Remember, that's going to change. You got barrel harmonics. You know, everything's going to be different your mileage may vary. You might not have any shift, your groups may or may not tighten, you're just gonna have to test it out for yourself. I was very happy that the groups tightened up. So I hope I covered everything on that today. Great suppressor for the money. The mount did not loosen. Speaking of which, they only sent me one flash hider. I need to start requesting 2 when I do testing because I had to move it back and forth all day using oven mitts. But that being a pain in the ass, it never came loose. And I didn't wrench it on tight, remember, because I knew I was gonna be moving it and I didn't want it to like lock up or anything. So I just kind of clicked it on until it stopped clicking. I didn't like wrench it on, and I was able to just loosen it with a mitt and move everything over to the other host for filming. Frickin' thing was awesome. So mount, A+, bang up job there, no back pressure. We did have a little jetting here, or not jetting, but you can see the orange glow like I thought would happen in the studio as this oxygen burned up in the tube those first couple shots. That's very normal. But no jetting out the front, no flames. As far as this being a flash hider mount, not a flash hider mount, as we found out, because I was throwing fireballs like freaking 2.5 feet wide, which is cool. I like that. So if you need to get rid of fireball, throw on suppressor. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. That's it for the R556. If you have any questions about the R556, please leave it in the comment section below. And I spent about 2 weeks after the video is posted and I kind of go through and make sure I don't miss anything. I will find your question and answer it. If I don't have the answer, I will reach out to KGM and get the answer for you, okay? So any questions, please, please, please just leave them below. Click that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss anything. We have a ton of reviews coming, guys, over 30 reviews in queue. A lot of product already in hand that I'm starting to film with and some still on the way. So if you don't want to miss anything, click that subscribe button and that notification bell, and I'll see you next time.